if you need to adjust your cans, it's that one right there, okay? Oh, I got to do math again. 806.
Yes.
I've only had to put $1 in the time jar this morning.
This is what I do every week. I'm like, what time is it? What time is it? Did I miss the hour? Am I early?
I got up this morning. Katie Pavlich joins us. Townhall.com, editor, author of Fast and Furious. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming out here early.
It's a super early morning for you, more late afternoon, or late morning.
I don't even know I don't know what time it is. I'm so backwards. I got up this morning and I had to keep looking at the clock, going, okay, I'm good on time, right? I'm okay on time. This is good because I'm lost.
Yes, fish out of water.
Yeah.
We do weird things here. It's like when you come to DC, you walk into a vortex.
Yeah.
Of many different things, some of them very bad.
Well, you know what's funny about that is that I remember when you first came out here, and I've done it since then. But I've often asked you, what's the vibe going on in DC? Because I remember the first time, well, the only other time I've been here, a couple of years ago when I came out here for the talk radio role, hold their feet to the fire. And I remember the vibe that I had then. You're right. The moment you get into the airport off the plane, it's just you are in a different. It's not even that. No, when you're flying in, the moment you fly in, it's a different vibe. You suddenly realize you're at the heart of the beast where everything is happening, and instantly you're kind of consumed by it. And I texted Katie right out of the gate. I'm like, the flights were great. I think this cab driver is going to kill me.
So you weren't on one of those Reagan flights that almost crashed into each other?
No,
okay.
They said they didn't though. They had to follow.
Of course they said they didn't. Are you kidding? Of course they said that.
The media would never lie, Katie.
Yeah, the government would never lie either, John. And they're the ones who said, "Oh, there was no issue. Don't worry about it."
Did you see the Adam Smith video out of Tucson,
yes,
the Chick-fil-A one?
Got fired.
Yeah, the only place he's going to be able to work now is Zia or Bookman's, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Or for the SEIU and
how dumb do you have to be?
Like, this is a thing called YouTube.
Right.
Let's explain how this works.
Right.
Don't post things about yelling at young women online.
Right.
It's
yeah.
probably not a good idea. Yeah.
Look at how clever I'm being.
I think my headline for that was "Guy who hates hate verbally assaults young female at Chick-fil-A after milking them for water." I
was glad to see there was swift justice done on the part of his business, and apparently the U of A as well, because they've even said he's not there either. We were talking with Stephanie Fontenot earlier, and it's like, you know what? You can't hide it anymore. You put it out there, and people are going to find it. And when you act like an idiot, they're going to find it and put it everywhere, and it's never going away.
Well, the thing that I think was pretty disappointing, in addition to obviously his behavior, though, was that he was not a professor, but an adjunct lecturer at the business school. So for him to go to a private business and say that they're a hateful corporation that donates to hate groups, which he backed up that statement with no evidence. It's a little disturbing when business school lecturers are saying that, but I know that the U of A Business School is actually the more conservative, common sense section of the University of Arizona.
Sure.
Maybe they'll actually move him into the social studies department. Maybe he could go work there. I don't know.
He can go support Mexican American studies.
Right, exactly.
The other one we're going to get into Fast and Furious, and we're going to have Katie on and then off and then back on again, because I've got Richard Miniter in between here. Did you see the Pueblo High School teacher wanted to change the grading scale? Did you not see this?
I did not see that.
Let me give you the quick recap on this. You're going to love this. So, Vivi Watt, principal at Pueblo Magnet High School, put out an email on Friday where she said that teachers would no longer assign zeros to grades, even if the student was caught plagiarizing or cheating. They were changing the grading scale from a 100-point scale to a 50-point scale. So they would be assigned a 50 if they were caught cheating or plagiarizing. Thankfully, Dylan Smith at the Tucson Sentinel got the story. A teacher had basically given him the information. Most teachers were afraid to come out and say anything for fear of reprisal. But he got it out there. We hammered it. Thankfully, TUSD instantly turned around and said, no, you can't do that. That's
just another epic version of the no red pens.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. And it turns out that Pueblo Magnet High School was having a hard time getting their grades bumped up. The kids were failing. They were looking for a means. I mean, it was grade welfare, as Mike the computer guru called up and so eloquently put it. It was grade welfare, what they were trying to do. Thankfully, it got exposed and TUSD, clamped down on it. But the reality is, if that hadn't gotten out, that would have happened.
Yeah, they start with every kid gets a trophy, and they go to don't use the red pen because you'll hurt people's feelings too. Let's change the grading system and cheat ourselves as teachers to make it look like our school is doing better, even though they're really not. And tell these kids who are failing, not give them tough love and say you're failing, get it together.
Right.
But let's just give them points for cheating and using other people's work.
They said in the PowerPoint presentation, Katie Pavlich, that they would be diminishing hope if they had the kids get zeros, and we can't diminish hope.
You know what words I'm sick of? Hope and fair. Hope and fair need to be eliminated from people's vocabulary for a long time.
What's going on in your world? Get me up to speed, and we'll talk a little bit about it now. We'll get back to it coming up, but get me up to speed on what happened this week in regards to Fast and Furious.
Right, so Congress is out of session now for about 3 weeks right before the RNC. August is usually their big go-home day, kind of like the Europeans. A go-home month, I guess.
Right.
So right before they went out of session, Congressman Issa and Senator Chuck Grassley, who's a ranking member on the Senate Judiciary Committee, issued a joint report that was more than 200 pages long, and it came down pretty hard on ATF. Now, this is one of 3 reports. And it's a lot to go through, attached with the report, and I think this was a great way to do it. It shows how transparent Congressman Issa's office has been. They, gave the 2,000 documents that the report was based off of with extensive interviews and emails and documentation. So still going through that, been through about 400 pages of it. But initially, right off the bat, I wrote a column this week at townhall.com. You can look at it there. I would suggest I usually don't plug my own work on there, but I think that this would be helpful.
No, please do.
Actually read this. And I picked out a couple things in my initial look at this, my first 400 pages or so. And, the headlines in the media have been, ATF or congressional report comes down hard on 5 ATF supervisors, right? Well, that's true, but it's no one new that we haven't already heard about. One thing that really stuck out to me, even though this report was supposed to be about ATF and the other 2 would be about DOJ and Criminal Rapid Report of what they found so far, was an email from former U.S. Attorney Dennis Burke.
Okay.
Just to give people a reminder of who he is, he resigned a year ago. He didn't mention anything about Fast and Furious in his resignation letter. He even wrote that his U.S. Attorney's Office was an example of how U.S. Attorney's offices should be run all over the country, even though they were running Fast and Furious. Dennis Burke served as Janet Napolitano's friend and staffer all the way until, for 10 years plus, until he worked with her in the Obama administration and President Obama appointed him. While Dennis Burke was overseeing Fast and Furious in the ground level in Phoenix on behalf of the Justice Department, he was on Eric Holder's Attorney General's advisory board, right? Okay. So we've heard over and over again that Eric Holder knew nothing about this.
Right.
There's an email on December 14, 2010 at 12:28 p.m. 12 hours before Brian Terry is shot and killed in the Arizona desert, right? 12 hours before. And it says, AG's office is now expressing interest in the AG coming out for it. And it is a press conference announcing the indictments that were going to happen as a result of Fast and Furious. So he's talking about a press conference announcing the indictments surrounding the Fast and Furious case and talking specifically about the Attorney General of the United States coming out to Arizona to announce it. Now, talking to DOJ attorneys, they'll say the Attorney General doesn't announce in very many cases.
Right.
I mean, Eric Holder's made the point that, look, I have, hundreds, thousands of cases going on. I don't keep track of them all. That's why I have people working under me. However, they only announce cases they either signed off on or have been heavily involved with throughout the process of the case. They don't just show up and announce a case because it's a reflection on them, but also a reflection on the administration. So this is the email 12 hours before Brian Terry gets killed, right? Right. Brian Terry gets shot and killed that night. And a couple days later, and granted, after Brian Terry was killed, Dennis Burke was in contact with Eric Holder's chief of staff talking about the fact that he was killed. Sure. A couple days later, another email from Dennis Burke says, I don't recommend that the AG come out. So the narrative went from the Attorney General which it takes a lot of planning, and this was a month before the indictment was supposed to be
Sure.
announced, right? So
Sure.
it takes a lot of planning and effort and briefings to make sure the Attorney General is up to speed on the case that they've been involved with. And so it changed from he's coming out to Brian Terry was killed as a result of this program to AG probably should no longer come out, and then he denied it from that point forward, right? Said he knew nothing about it. Not to mention Dennis Burke said he never talked about it to Eric Holder. These emails don't show direct contact to Eric Holder, but they do sure show that Eric Holder was interested in coming out for this case, and he was definitely getting briefed, at least by his chief of staff, about the indictments that were going to come down in January and the press conference announcing it. Now, another thing that I found very interesting is, of course, one of the memes has been, it's crazy to think that this was about gun control, right?
Right.
Even though we had email and whistleblower testimony saying that's what this was at least partially about.
Okay, hold that thought. We're gonna
Right. We'll get into that next.
Yeah, we're gonna tease it. We're gonna tease into that next. More with Katie Pavlich coming up. 751-1041 is the phone number. Again, editortownhall.com. Author of Fast and Furious, Katie Pavlich joins us as we broadcast live from Washington D.C. for the Defending the American Dream Summit. You are listening to the John Justice Show on 104.1 The Truth, Tucson's News Talk FM.